2021 local government elections thank you event. The purpose of the event is to thank members of staff, volunteers and communities in all forms for going out and exercising their democratic right by participating in the local government elections. Well, for more on this, let's cross now to my colleague Samkele Maseko. Thanks very much for joining us, Samkele. Have proceedings started as yet?
At this point in time, Nompu, proceedings have not yet started. The ANC President and other officials of the party have not made their way here. We've seen the Gauteng officials, their deputy chairperson, that would be Panyaza Lesufi. We've also seen David Makura, the provincial chair, their provincial head of elections, Lebogang Maile, and other NEC members like Chokoti Tiza, Stomo Damini, and Jeff Khatebe, who have made their way here, and also Sibusiso Butelez, who are at the scene. But we are going to bring in the NYTT National Youth Task Team member, that would be Colin Malaji, just to speak about the dismal performance of his party, the ANC, at the polls. Mr. Malaji, your party performed badly at the polls. Where are those people that you had claimed as the NYTT would come out in their millions to vote for your party?
Look, this elections comes at a time where there's a high rate of unemployment that has affected young people. A lot of young people, young graduates, were highly disgruntled because they found themselves displaced outside the economic activities of their own country. The second issue is the issue of ESCOM. 3 days before the elections, were a lot of unnecessary load sheddings everywhere, and we feel very well as a youth league that enough is enough. Action must be taken against the leadership of ESCOM, because we feel that there was a clear sabotage of the African National Congress as a ruling party, because when you switch off electricity 3 days before elections is a clear sign that you are saying people must not go out and vote for the ruling party, because the ruling party is the one responsible for all activities that are happening in the country, including ESCOM.
Who is leading this charge of sabotage by ESCOM against the governing party? Is it your own minister, Pravin Gordhan, or is it Andre Derrida, the group CEO of ESCOM, or is it the various engineers who are in the various plants that broke down during the elections?
I think one is that we deploy the minister as a political deployee. He's the one that we hold accountable on anything that happens at ESCOM or any other entity is deployed to. Now, he must go and look for those that are sabotaging the ruling party during elections. If not, we'll call upon the president to act on him, because no one is above the African National Congress. Now, if the minister does not resolve the issue of load shedding and the issue of ESCOM leadership, we'll give the president less than 24 hours to fire him.
It's stage 4 load shedding as we speak. What now?
That's why I'm saying that the president must act on the minister, because the one that is deployed, the minister must act on those that are reporting to him. Now, it's enough about this load shedding. We can no longer sit down and do nothing when our people are highly affected during exams. Matrics are writing exams now. Many of them can't even access electricity. They can't even study because of these load shedding processes. Now, the children of the upper classes are sitting somewhere with generators. The children of the CEO of ESCOM are sitting somewhere with generators studying, while the children of the poorest are suffering because of lack of energy in this country.
Thank you very much, Mr. Blach. I'm going to ask you to please just grab Zizi Godwa for me, the minister there, and the ANC NEC member who is huddled around with Stomo Damini, just so that he can also further clarify these points, particularly knowing that it's stage 4 load sheddings. Matriculants are writing their exams. When examinations were starting, ESCOM again announced stage 4 load shedding, but there's been no accountability from the leadership of ESCOM. Instead, they went and fired a subordinate engineer in one of the power plants, but those who sit in the top echelons of the power utility are getting away scot-free with their cushy salaries that they are getting from government. The minister as well has not yet been able to come out this time around with stage 4 load shedding and speak on the various issues that are plaguing the power utility. The president of the ANC and of the governing party as well has still been mum on this stage 4 load shedding, which was announced today by the power utility ESCOM.
Samkele, I think what's really concerning is the fact that stage 4 is going to be running for a much longer period than previously scheduled. And of course, the ruling party must be very concerned about that, because the wheels of the economy have already been falling off, and it's just going to make things a lot worse.
The ruling party, as I asked my colleague Mashudu just to take his camera out of the tripod as we go and approach those ruling party members who sit in the NEC of the governing party to speak on these issues relating to ESCOM. particularly those who are also cabinet ministers, and how this affects the economy, particularly knowing their dismal performance at the polls. You'll have to excuse our shots. They will be a bit shaky at this point in time. But we did ask earlier on the president of the governing party on the issues of accountability when it comes to Eskom. He was not willing at that stage, saying that the only drama he will entertain is when Eskom's issues are fixed once and for all, and he will not be entertaining any drama of any minister being fired, which is what we may want within the media fraternity. His priority is to fix Eskom, and wow, is he trying to fix Eskom with stage 4 load shedding being rolled out in the country right now. I wonder if there will be any form of accountability. As you can see, some of the cabinet ministers, deputy ministers, NEC members huddled around here. Zizi Godwa, we're trying to get him. He simply does not want to speak on these issues. You can see Mamtogo Titiza. But I'm going to go straight to Mr. Godwa and disrupt this conversation. Mr. Godwa, it's stage 4 load shedding again. Where are your ministers of public enterprises? Where's the CEO? It seems as if they're perpetually plunging us into darkness.
Well, I'm concerned, like all South Africans, about the load shedding. But I'm sure, as you can see, we're in the ANC event here. So I can't give an account of a CEO, I can't give an account of a minister, whom I'm sure at an appropriate time you can be able to talk to them.
Mr. Godwa, it's not about being in an ANC event or not an ANC event. At the end of the day, you're a governing party. If there are successes, you claim those successes. So your excuse simply does not hold any water. You, as the governing party, are failing to provide electricity security in the country. People are losing jobs, which is one of the issues we are campaigning against. There was a poor voter turnout. Just on the eve of elections, there was load shedding once again. Are you in control of the country, or simply in autopilot?
If you remember our statement just a few days before elections, when there was a stage 4, we were very clear that heads must roll. There must be accountability at Eskom, because we couldn't accept that just on the eve of election, the country can be taken to stage 4. And I think that statement, you yourself made a reference to that statement a number of times. And we think that there's something that Eskom that must be attended to at a level of government, because what has happened over the period of time, not only does it affect households, it affects businesses, it affects small businesses, and it's a concern to the African National Congress. I'm not speaking on behalf of the ANC, but of course, as the leadership of the ANC, we are concerned about the electricity supply and the unreliability of electricity supply. And I'm saying these issues are issues that the NEC would at an appropriate time reflect on it, but the government is seized with these issues that I think affect everybody.
Mr. Godwa, there's a general perception out in society that if the CEO of Eskom was a black individual, that person would have long been fired. And this time around, you've got a white person as a CEO, Hendrik de Ruyter, who's had 3 unprecedented stage 4 load sheddings, which are perpetually being repeated, but he still sits in his cushy job.
Well, I think the issue of color may be irrelevant in terms of the performance of an individual. If there would be any evaluation of individual, it can't be on the basis of race, it can't be on the basis of color. There are issues with Eskom, there's no doubt about it. Whether those issues about leadership, whether those issues about the performance of different power stations in a number of places such as Mpumalanga, Quebec, and Cape Town, is a matter that Eskom can best give answers to those. We are concerned as the ANC about the issues of unreliable electricity supply in the country, which affects, like I said, not only households, but particularly small businesses.
But is the CEO of Eskom performing? Honestly, as the ANC, can you say that the current leadership of Eskom is performing very well in keeping the lights on?
The leadership of Eskom, the government as a shareholder, continues to engage on its performance and evaluate. We can't, on the basis of what has happened now, and take a decision that because of what has happened, without any information of why this has happened, and therefore we take a decision that somebody is not fit or fit for purpose. And I think let's allow space for Eskom through the public enterprise as representing a shareholder to deal with issues. We are concerned about issues at Eskom. We are quite concerned, and we think those issues must be dealt with decisively once and for all.
For how long can South Africans be patient and allow for calm, and also for Eskom to be too concentrated on the corporate side, yet they are failing on the energy generation part, which is the most critical part to ensure that there's economic growth in the country? For how long can South Africans be patient, Mr. Godwa?
I wish I can give a definite answer on behalf of Eskom, but I can't, because I'm not involved in the running of Eskom. But I think, like all South Africans, we wish that the stage load shedding could come to an end like yesterday, because it does affect not only our livelihood, but our daily lives.
Thank you very much, Mr. Godwa. That was the ANC leadership and the minister in cabinet speaking on Eskom, saying that definitely heads must roll. And it's unprecedented to have stage 4 load shedding. I'm going to try and bring in Samkele Maseko and hijack him, who is the head of the ANC's presidency, who also looks at policy issues to speak. Mr. Maseko, you look on policy issues on behalf of the ANC presidency. What's the performance of Eskom?
Well, following what has been happening, we think Eskom can do much more better. And then we think that the issue of load shedding has got to be resolved with immediate effect. We are pleased that there is quite a plan to ensure that we diversify our energy sources and so on.
You're sounding like a broken record or a CD that is scratched. We've been saying that message for the past 15 years.
Well, we have not been saying it for the past 15 years.
You have, Mr. Maseko. When did load shedding start?
No, it's not for the past 15 years.
For how long has it been?
No, I may not know for how long. But the fact is, if plans are in place that we need to diversify our energy sources, for an example, you would know that the issue of what the IPPs have been signed a few years ago, 2 years ago, and so on. And right now, 2 weeks ago or so, or last week, there has been a commitment of about 130 billion to diversify our energy sources. So that tells you that something is in the making to ensure that we don't only depend on Eskom. We resolve the current situation of load shedding. So that is encouraging. We are not actually sort of being defensive. We're actually saying there's a plan in place and we're beginning to see that plan getting implemented, albeit a bit slow. We want it to be fast-tracked.
Eskom commissioned load shedding on the eve of elections and effectively decampaigned your own campaign. Why are you so lackluster in dealing with them, with their failures?
No, we are not lackluster. If you follow up what the president has been saying even during the campaign, we're actually unimpressed with the fact that in the midst of a campaign we had the load shedding that we have. But we are not sort of ignorant of the challenges that bedevil Eskom.
Thank you very much, Mr. Samkele Maseko. As my colleague Mashudu shows you, this particular Soweto hall here, these are the ANC members, some of them, and PEC members who have gathered here as unprecedented load shedding is being implemented across the country. We are going to walk across to the Premier of Gauteng, David Makhura, who is also the chairperson of the ANC in the province. He received a hammering in these elections, with all of the 9 municipalities across the province being hung. They were in 2016, it was only 4 hung councils in the province. This time around, all 9 municipalities are hung. All 9 municipalities for the ANC, they are gone. They are history. They are out of government. So David Makhura, Panyaza Lusufi, who is his deputy chairperson, they have been hammered a lot in these elections. And I wonder how they will account for the issues relating to Eskom. There's also the former mayor of Mfuleni. I am going to try and steal the chairperson of the province, David Makhura, here. They are also engaging with the Mfuleni mayor, who is raising some issues, particularly relating to that municipality. They are having a private conversation. We have disrupted them, and he may feel a bit aggrieved with some of the issues that were happening in the Mfuleni municipality. So we'll try and leave them to have that particular discussion that they are having, as that Mfuleni mayor who received a hammering in those elections, with that municipality being hung.
Very much, Samkele, for probing the ruling party on the issue of Eskom and other matters. My colleague there, Samkele Maseko.